Kurdish Victims Fund Public Report 11 in the United States of America, a fundamental freedom enshrined in the national constitution is freedom of speech. As a United States permanent resident and having been a student at an American university, Kurdistan Regional Government Prime Minister Masroor Barzani, the leading defendant in the Kurdish Victims Fund case, knows this very well. In fact, he took an oath to support the United States Constitution and the laws of the United States. The Kurdish Victims Fund case against the Kurdistan Regional Government, Masroor Barzani, Waisi Barzani, and Barzani family members and others, repeatedly makes known that Masroor Barzani and his international criminal organization have consistently dishonored and betrayed that oath. The case shows the U.S. courts and the U.S. Congress how the Barzani international crime enterprise has many interlinkings with counterfeiters, drug traffickers, and terrorists. It is a 250-year-old tenet of the United States that harassment against any person is unacceptable. Maybe in Kurdistan, Prime Minister Masroor Barzani feels empowered to violate criminal laws, treaties, and the law of nations, but that freedom to violate criminal laws and treaties does not apply to Masroor Barzani and his family and agents in the United States. In the USA, there is no law-free zone around Masroor Barzani and his criminal conspirators, including his family, as there seems to be in Kurdistan, where they constantly abuse the levers of government to enrich themselves. Masroor Barzani and his family members and agents are too comfortable in the delusion of their own entitlement, pretending this American case will just go away. It won't. Nothing in America is more important or more fundamental than the rule of law. In the United States of America, no man is above the law. Even Masroor Barzani's and Masroor Barzani's hollow and false claims of immunity will not stop the Kurdish Victims Fund case from proceeding in American court. US President Joe Biden, the most powerful person in the world, has made his position on this very clear. This week President Biden said, "This nation was founded on the principle that there are no kings in America. Each of us is equal before the law. No one is above the law." The Kurdish Victims Fund is keeping the White House up to date on this case. In our last court report, we explained the brutal murder of Jahan Taha Abdulrahman. In this report, we explained the attack on her brother Shakwan Abdulrahman, an American citizen. Masroor Barzani visited Washington, D.C. earlier this year. Learning of this, Shakwan traveled there with the intent to speak with Masroor Barzani about Jahan's murder. Shakwan dearly missed Jahan and suffered anguish and grief that he could not protect her, and thought about the unspeakable fear and agony she surely endured when kidnapped, tortured, and incinerated. Having no success in obtaining a meeting, denied by Masroor Barzani, Shakwan's intent was to express his protected political dissent in a public and lawful political expression in Washington, D.C. with others, by merely standing on the public sidewalk holding a large picture of his murdered sister and verbally expressing sadness and anger and seeking accountability, engaging in political speech that is granted the broadest swath of us constitutional protection. The judge in this case has ruled that standing on a sidewalk expressing political speech is absolutely legal. Yet contrary to a clearly established us constitutional and legal right to peacefully demonstrate against the despotic and imperious Barzani regime of Kurdistan, Masroor Barzani's agents used unlawful and violent bodily force to restrain Shakwan's free speech. Amazingly, this criminal violence was just 1 block from the White House. This is considered abhorrent under US civil liberty protections, which the Barzani delegation totally ignored. Those who visit America's shores are expected to honor its values of the rule of law, human rights, and democracy. Instead, the Barzani delegation, with Masroor Barzani standing watching, physically attempted to silence Shakwan from expressing his viewpoint in a public place, where he could be seen and heard by officials of the United States government and by American media in America's federal city. As the US Supreme Court has emphasized, the right to free speech may not be curtailed simply because the speaker's message may be offensive to his audience. Masroor Barzani and his agents aggressively threatened Shakwan with bodily harm and inflicted emotional distress on this grieving brother. Shakwan was aggressively attacked, assaulted, and battered by Arfan Salehomer Sherwani, who attempted to destroy Shaqwan's phone, and Hamza Salam and Hikmet Bamirni, who was supervising the agents and did nothing to stop the assault. Hayman Kwasi and Dasko Sherwani employed violent bodily force as an instrument of oppression. In America, this is a forcible felony in the furtherance of crime. Arfan Salehomer Sherwani and Hamza Salam, acting for and on behalf of Masroor Barzani, committed civil rights violations in an effort to destroy evidence of their unlawful conduct when they physically attempted to illegally steal and confiscate or destroy Shaqwan's cell phone that he had been using to lawfully and freely film and record the violent reaction of the Barzani group to his tiny, peaceful demonstration. The two Barzani bodyguards who attacked Shaqwan tried to force the phone out of his hand, but could not take it away. Then the attackers tried to break the phone in Shaqwan's hand, which caused pain in his hands and back, which persists. The Barzani attackers tried to also kick Shaqwan, but when police arrived, the attack was halted. They also boldly and powerfully kicked the photo of Shaqwan's murdered Kurdish sister, in an intentional act of disrespect and repression of a constitutionally protected liberty. Shaqwan was displaying a photo, which also is protected free speech. Masroor Barzani has a legal duty to stop them, yet he did nothing. They were his agents and representatives, and they committed a crime of violence against an American citizen in the American capital city. It is all on film for the court. The United States Secretary of State expressed the position of the United States government. The United States does not tolerate individuals who use intimidation and violence to stifle freedom of speech and legitimate political expression, while the Barzani security detail had a right to protect Masroor Barzani. Us courts have said that does not automatically grant security personnel discretion to commit criminal assaults. These criminal acts are now part of the pending court case.